But we are staggered by the fact that 40%, nearly half of the time people spend creating these presentations, it's just super stupid formatting work, right? Like work where they have to align boxes, cut out and crop images, create diagrams with some arrows on top, and it takes them so much time. And I think we all know this, right? We all get this feeling when we're working on a super important presentation, we realize this is now really a lot of annoying work for us, right? This is a lot of steps, a lot of clicks, and it just consumes and eats up so much of our time. And I think it's crazy if we think about our life and all these apps and all these amazing helpers that save us so much time, and then we're still doing such a stupid work in a way. I mean, we're not educated to do that. We don't do it very efficiently.
Hey everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the World of Presentations podcast brought to you by us at Presentation Agency 356 Labs. My name is Boris, and I'm the founder and the host of this show for the last 100 plus episodes. And today, together with me, I have someone that let's just name a few things. He was a speaker at Present to Succeed already twice. He and his company supported Present to Succeed from the beginning by being one of the sponsors. So this means that without companies like his company, this event wouldn't even happen. So let's keep it there also. And the third thing that probably I need to mention here is that Stephan and his company are building a tool for PowerPoint, but not only, but because this is a presentation podcast, we need to talk about PowerPoint in this case. That if you believe that PowerPoint is a powerful tool, my opinion is that you don't know anything. And I'm not even exaggerating when I'm saying this. So welcome to the podcast for a second time, Stephan. How are things going?
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right. So how was, wait, before we talk a little bit, like 1 minute for your experience at Present to Succeed 2022, tell our audience who didn't listen to the first episode a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so in a nutshell, that's the toughest question, right? So
Yes.
in a nutshell, I would call myself a PowerPoint geek. I have founded Empower as a company like 12 years ago. And we always did development based on Microsoft Office. And although we have a solution for the entire Microsoft Office suite, we really come from the PowerPoint world. I mean, I was a former strategy consultant. So I used to do like 100 slides a day, at least 16 hours. And there was always this idea to improve the way presentations can be built. And I think that's me or us in a nutshell. So we're only doing that. We're only, developing software for Microsoft Office. And we're like now 100 people doing that. And when I started, it was just my co-founder and myself, and we weren't sure whether there is an entire business for it that would actually pay our bills. And now we are at this stage without any investors, which is great. And it just shows the importance of presentations in the world, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to ask how large is the team today, but you already answered that, which means that the product is going great. And a lot of customers and a lot of companies are looking for it and extracting a lot of value from it. Before we jump on to the report that you also talked a little about at the conference, which has some very interesting insights in it, I would say, and that is something that we can point out afterwards in the show notes. Everyone, make sure that you go to the show notes and you download that report and just take a look at the research that Empower and who was it, Nielsen or Gartner?
Nielsen research.
Nielsen did. It has some fascinating data, I think, in it. I'll ask you for your favorite insight out of it, but. Yeah. How was Present to Succeed for you this year, 2022? I mean,
I mean, this year it was less of a surprise, right? Because it was the second edition. And the first year was, of course, exciting for us in a way that we didn't know what will happen, and we were
Yeah,
overwhelmed by actually what you guys pulled up there. And of course, this year there were high expectations, right?
yeah,
And I mean, without flattering you, you of course over achieved those high expectations one more time. So I think for us it was, I mean, being there as a sponsor, of course, it was amazing how many people showed up and how many people were interested. In of course something that we on purpose called a this is a product pitch, right? Because
yeah,
you have so many great speakers, and they are all bringing so much content. I think, I personally believe that there is, I mean, those are great speakers that deliver awesome insights, which is great. And
yeah,
then there are those tool providers, those companies. And if you ask me, I don't believe that we always, try to deliver content and meaningful stuff. But at the end of the day, of course, we're a company trying to sell our software. So we this year said, let's make it very explicit. Let's provide insights, but let's talk about this is a product and this is, a very quick pitch, not like a 5-minute show. And now you see whether you're interested, because otherwise you're always trying, to do that content
yeah.
marketing thing. And I think you had so many great speakers. So we would never be able to compete with those people in terms of insights from a storytelling or design perspective. But where we can compete is just showing off a really cool product. So that was
Yeah.
our approach this year, and we got amazing feedback. So that was really cool.
Brilliant, brilliant. Happy to hear that. And I saw that, and what you did for the audience there to release some kind of a secret version for Empower for everyone at the conference was crazy. I saw that there were quite some people that downloaded that. I'm not sure that you saw the data. I saw send it to the marketing team already to
Mm-hmm.
explore and see. But this was, I think, of like I also mentioned it throughout the session that even if you guys are listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube, these type of episodes or sessions are all about you just how can I say it, like widening your horizon of what is possible on the market. And maybe even if you are not the decision maker who takes the decision for, hey, whether or not we will have this new software installed in our company, maybe you are the person that can tell your manager, hey, wait a minute, there is something that exists out there that can save us ton of work. Can you take a look at this? Can you please do that? Because it may be something that we really need. Anyway, that report is incredible. There were so many interesting things. By the way, secret here, we are always quoting you, by the way, on that one, but we use, I think, one or two of the numbers in one of our trainings. So thank you for doing that. This is a really nice one. Um, what is your favorite? What is the craziest insight that you got? Like once the report was up, what was the one insight that when you found it out there in the data, you were like, that is crazy?
Mm. So
Tell us a little bit about the report, by the way, very quickly, and then let's go to the
yeah.
insights.
So yeah. So maybe about the report. So it's we've done it. We're doing it on a regular basis, and we chose Nielsen to being the market leader worldwide in terms of research. And so we focus on enterprises, right? 50 people or more in a corporation that is part of the panel, and we are
Yeah.
asking I think 2,000 people across the globe. So we have a pretty good understanding of differences between the US and Europe or Asia, and also between some even different industries. But what is important is, so for example, you will things like there is a higher market share of Google Workplace in the US versus Europe, which is something we also would probably from a feeling confirm. And while Microsoft Office is still like monopoly, like market leader with 85% still, but so this is the report, and the report is pretty extensive. I think, I don't know, like 60, 70 questions around how people work with Office, and a lot of questions around PowerPoint. I have to say presentation software, because
Yeah.
it's about how presentation software is used. But again, as 85 to 90% is using PowerPoint, I'm just making this a synonym right now. But yeah, so I mean, the most interesting fact is of course, it depends with the audience I'm speaking to. But if I would tell you, I think for me, it's always shocking in a way that we always ask that question when you think of the overall time you work on a presentation. And it's very explicit. You work on a presentation. It's not like you're reading stuff or so. So when you work on a presentation, what's the share of the formatting versus the content? Like the content part is, the storytelling, how can I really engage with the audience? This kind of stuff. I mean, we as a tool company, we cannot change that, right? This is something, there are great speakers on your conference, people who give you great advice for it. But we are staggered by the fact that 40%, nearly half of the time people spend creating these presentations, it's just super stupid formatting work, right? Like work where they have to align boxes, cut out and crop images, create diagrams with some arrows on top, and it takes them so much time. And I think we all know this, right? We all get this feeling when we're working on a super important presentation, we realize this is now really a lot of annoying work for us, right? This is a lot of steps, a lot of clicks, and it just consumes and eats up so much of our time. And I think it's crazy if we think about our life and all these apps and all these amazing helpers that save us so much time, and then we're still doing such a stupid work in a way. I mean, we're not educated to do that. We don't do it very efficiently. And then we are highly paid knowledge workers that align boxes, right? And then say, oh, it doesn't look good, because that's the results, that it doesn't look good when you do it yourself. And then you redo the slide and you're still not happy, but you have to move on because you're making late hours again. So it's like nearly 50%, it's 40% to be precise, 40% of the time, but people on average spend like 5 hours a week. In average, there are many people who spend much more time, but 5 hours a week on PowerPoint. So if you think about it, that's 2 wasted hours every week, again and again. And it's not one person in a company, it's thousands. And this is, I think it's crazy. It's crazy that there is, people accept that as a fact and don't change it. And of course, for us, we are in, I think it's still a young market in a way. It's still a market that's just evolving, but it's a lot about education, like making this explicit. Because Office, I think, what was it last year? It was 30th birthday, I think. 40th? I don't know.
Think no, I think this year is 35.
Something like this. Like, it's so long out there that I think there is this, people don't even question whether there are tools for it, right? I mean, every now and then we see a new company that's trying to get rid of PowerPoint. Like every 5 years we have that. But there's I think that there's no question about, can we improve that? It's like, we have Office, and now it's Office 365. It's all, I mean, I love the software. I think it's a great software, but we live with all the inefficiencies. And that's our mission. And I think that's from the report, like that proves it, right? It's not this, we always have this feeling we're losing time. Now it's proven there is, I mean, so much time that is just wasted.
Yeah, it is crazy if you think about it. Like, for everyone that's listening, just imagine, probably you can associate yourself with this, like 2 hours per week in formatting in PowerPoint. I personally know a lot of people from our customers that spend way more in just the formatting part. Just try to get it from the business perspective. That will be like, let's say, 8 to 10 hours per month. Multiply that by 12, that's 120 hours. Now multiply that by the rate, the hourly rate of that person, of one person, right? As you mentioned, of this is not one person anymore. It is hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are using this on a daily basis. And just think about the losses. This is crazy. It is crazy bonkers. Yeah, it is insane. So that being said, obviously, again, to everyone, download the report. You will find it extremely, extremely interesting. And I think the report was free, right? There was, I think it was free, right? Yeah.
Not for us. I mean, for us it was highly expensive research, but no, of course we'll share that. And I think there is no such thing, no such insight. And it's funny, although there's reports for everything. So that's why we decided like a decade ago to do that on a regular basis. And the next one is probably coming out, I'm sure, probably next year.
Hopefully the guys at Nielsen are making you a discount here. Nielsen, if you're listening, okay. So, so anyway, I know, by the way, quite some people at Nielsen. I need to ask around that, like what's going on in there with Empower's account. Who's taking care of them here? All right. Anyway, um, that being said, all of the formatting issues, all of that stuff. Obviously, Empower works on both PC and Mac. You can install it both on a PC and on a Mac. Your focus is mainly, you would probably say, the corporate world,
Yes.
probably. But what about, like, if you look at the product today, like 2022, what is that feature, one feature that you would point to in Empower that is already the most, let's say, used feature, probably because you know how people use
Mm,
it? What is the
yeah.
most used feature there by all of the customers that you work with? Because if people go to your website, they'll see some
Lots of
very,
stuff.
very, 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 very big names and global brands. What are they using mostly there?
So, I mean, there I have to mention two because it's really
Okay.
dependent on where our clients are coming from.
Mm,
So the one thing that everyone loves is having this central slide library. There's one place in the organization where all the important slides in the latest version, very important, in the
very
latest version
important.
are available. And you can just you stay in PowerPoint, you just launch that library and you have access to thousands of slides that are yeah, just in the latest
Searchable.
version, and you can just
Also,
sorry,
they're searchable, right?
they're searchable, exactly. And what we now added, which is for us pretty amazing, because there was something we dreamed of a long time ago. Now we can actually index all the SharePoints and all the Teams channels, everything in your organization. And if you do a search, you can literally find all the slides that ever made and have ever been stored in SharePoint and Teams in a second. So it's really cool because now you don't have to look, oh, in which channel was that I saved that file? Like in Teams, you have
Yeah.
all these channels, right? So many new data locations. And the same for SharePoint. So that's one feature, like having access to that content. The other one, and that's a very different use case, is um, I mean, we know, and clients working with you, what they probably always get is a new master template.
Yeah.
Not always, but quite often, right? And the new master template could be the reason because there was a relaunch of your brand. But sometimes what we see quite often, there's just a new template, not an entire relaunch, but you
Yep.
just want to present in a more modern way. And here's the thing, and this is similar to the formatting part. This is mind boggling. If you think about it, now you have those hundreds of thousands of slides and presentations that are already at a company. And now there's this new, cool looking, shiny template. How to get existing content to the new template. There is no such thing as a convert function from PowerPoint. Applying a design is not doing the job. We know that, right? It's
Yep.
not doing the job. So the best advice, and we could probably talk about this in a whole session, the best practice I would say is if you don't have any tool, you just ideally put it one by one, copy the text ideally, and you do
That's
it like a horrible copy paste job with thousands of clicks to get a presentation properly converted. And this is something that we automated with a convert function. And again, it's super. I don't want to bore anyone. It's super fancy with a lot of logic that is very AI style, where you try to get the best fit because layouts change, colors change in the mapping of the color scheme, right? So there's
yeah.
all this logic that is applying it, getting rid of all layouts. And this is one reason why clients say that's the one. So, for example, BioNTech, the COVID vaccine company in Germany, they bought Empower just for this reason. They said, we got a new master. We have thousands of existing slides. We don't let our people who are really busy these days, we don't let them apply that manually with their labor work, right? We just want to have one click and it should convert.
Yeah.
So these are, like, let's say, two of those killer
Top.
features, as you call it in
Yeah.
the software
Just,
world,
yeah. This is,
develop.
by the way, for everyone who is listening to this one. I think that, like, today I was in a training with an IT organization, super cool organization that has an office here in Sofia, Bulgaria, but also in the US. And these guys were, what I was pointing them to is because they use SharePoint, and OneDrive and on the Microsoft stack. By the way, they were at the event, which is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And they were also in 2021 at the event in a like a lot of people came from their organization in 2021. But in their case, their salespeople, probably you know it better than me, their salespeople are constantly building presentations that are slightly different because of the customer, right?
Yeah.
Know your audience, adapt towards that audience. And they're constantly searching for some slides that are already done, but the way they search the slides is just it's so
Mm.
painful to watch that stuff. It's
Yeah.
just it's just brutal. They send emails to each other.
Mm.
They wait for that email to arrive.
Mm.
Then whoever says here is the presentation that you're looking for, turns out that's not the one.
Yeah.
So now your meeting with the customer is
Yeah.
coming up, and your presentation is not ready because you are like, no, Adam will send it over for sure.
Yeah.
This is so it is just such a painful process, and I can also imagine the conversion of the slides. This was always a problem in PowerPoint, and you actually demonstrated it throughout. At your session at Present to Succeed,
Yes.
how an old template becomes a new one, and
Yeah.
you just sit down and watch, and you are like, how is
Mm.
this even possible? Wait, is this really happening in front of my eyes? This is like crazy. So yeah, everyone,
Yeah.
if you have those issues in your organization, make sure that you at least know, right? At least know that
Yeah.
there is a solution out
It
there
could be
for these
a
problems.
pain reliever. And I just
Yeah,
want to, Boris, just
yeah,
want to comment on what you just said with the salespeople searching for slides. I think you just made this very explicit. There's once is you search for that stuff and it's painful. And that's the right word because even if there is search in SharePoint and stuff, you don't get the visual result of the slide. You
yes,
get, oh, here we find in 1,000 PowerPoints, we found your keyword. Okay, so I click on the first one, it's loading. It's all web-based. It's loading, loading, loading. It's 100 slides. So it takes me 1 minute to go through that first search result to find out, oh, it's not the right one. So I'm losing any fun I had searching for that because it's so frustrating. And now I'm asking colleagues. So now I'm actually killing their time as well because they start looking. They want to help me, ideally, right? So
yeah,
I spend like 5 people searching for my slide 5 or 10 minutes. So it's multiplying, and it's just again crazy how much time is lost in such a
yeah,
simple task of I just want to get that slide right. In Google, normally it takes me 5 seconds to find the right thing, and
yeah.
for PowerPoint slides, it's like yeah. Anyway, sorry, I just
A
need to.
lot. What about one last here from me, because I told you that we're trying to keep it up like 30 minutes at max. You are complete. It is completely fine for you to say I won't comment on this one, but we didn't touch on the topic during the event, and I was like, what's next there? Like, are there any? Obviously, there are a lot of things that you are working on right now. Obviously, because you update Empower. How often are the updates? The updates now?
So major updates like 3 to 4 per year. That's our rhythm right
Three
now.
to four per year. Which by major update you don't mean one feature, but like a stack
Yeah,
of.
it's the full
Yeah.
set of yes.
Yeah. So what is so let make us wonder. Let's just put it like that. What is that one feature that is coming up, let's say in the next 6 months or in the next 1 year? Don't say it if you don't want to say it, but just tell
Right.
us, hey, do you have this problem? Maybe we can do something here.
No, I mean, I'm happy to very openly share our roadmap, which is something also we publish. So we don't make
Okay.
any secret here. So what I think for us the big thing is, and I just mentioned the slide library concept, finding slides. Um, and what we now achieved is that we can index and find slides everywhere in the organization. Um, but what we now will work on is that you can literally harmonize all these old versions with the click of a button. So, for example, if you think about old reference slides, for example, and it's all happening just in SharePoint, right? And somebody is actually updating this reference slide with the logos. And now you can then through SharePoint, you don't need to do anything. You can just actually distribute that slide to all the instances where it was used magically. So that means that this whole problem of all the various different versions that are around the organization can be entirely eliminated. So
Mm,
that's one big thing, because that's what we hear from clients all the time, right? They want to have this one version, and they don't want that people go out with wrong or outdated stuff. And like, this is one, let's say, big thing that we're trying to do. We are literally trying to, I mean, we are Microsoft partner, and I mean, we're not connected to Microsoft in any way, but as long as that um, market is so much dominated by Microsoft, we really focus on a Microsoft stack, as you mentioned. So we want to make that experience even smoother. And and I think from a corporate design perspective, our mission also is that every presentation is on brand once you're done with it, right? And we have built
yep.
all these tools around checking the presentation. And here I think we really want to go further into having more intelligence of fixing, like with the convert, like making you stay on brand without pain, right?
Yeah.
So make it very easy to fix issues and still like the result, because I think eventually that's, in today's world, brand consistency is king, and it's very important in presentations, because that's where, it's the last mile of your brand, right?
Yep.
I mean, TV spots and website is fine, but I mean, sales happening with PowerPoint and trainings happening with PowerPoint, so they should be on brand as well. No exception.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's wrap it up here. I'm not going to ask you who do you think we have to invite on our podcast, because I already asked you that one before. So we'll catch up on that part. We are still catching up on every single person that our guests recommended. So it's like a long journey there. But one final thing: where can people find more about Empower, the report, and what is the best network, social media network, I mean, for people to connect directly with you?
So yeah, I mean, we are pretty active on LinkedIn. On just search for Empower on LinkedIn, or of course our website empowersuite.com. And that's the two places where you can interact with us. The most efficient way, I would say. And on LinkedIn, we try to share a lot of stuff also on best practices, tricks, tips, and all that stuff. So there is quite some stuff posted regularly. But yeah, and otherwise, of course, feel free to reach out to me personally on LinkedIn as well.
Brilliant. So it will be LinkedIn, all in on LinkedIn for everyone.
Yes.
All right, everyone. You heard it here. Stephan joined us for a second time. If you didn't know about Empower and what they're doing there, and if you missed both editions, which is a shame, of Present Succeed, you now have to, at least you have a glimpse of what happened there, and at least you now know what Empower can do for you and for the organization. So take a look at it, take a look at the report, download that report that you're going to find in the show notes for sure. Look at the data there and see what Empower can do, because what they showed and what Stephan showed us for 20 minutes at Present Succeed was, yeah, it's like magical to see the old brand and the old template just converting into the new one without anyone doing anything. Just don't touch it, leave the software to do its thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, it is crazy. It's crazy. Thanks for joining, and yeah, thanks for this very short but I believe very insightful conversation for a lot of people that are going to listen and watch this one.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Boris.
Absolutely. Everyone, thanks for listening. Subscribe to the podcast if you still haven't. Like, comment, you know what to do, so that we cheat the algorithms nowadays. And yeah, sure, absolutely. Thanks for listening, everyone, again, and see you in the next one.